Afternoon. A beautiful winter's day here in Melbourne. I'm just down at the park again. An aircraft is flying over the top, so it's probably a bit noisy. I think I have got the microphone switched on. Yes, I have. I'm going to talk a little bit about what you want to hear about is fines. Now, Fines Victoria removed themselves as a corporation from the websites and so on and so forth. So what they've done, they've hidden themselves under the Justice Department. The Justice Department is a private corporation as well. You'll find it registered with Dun & Bradstreet in London. There is no law in Australia, and we've been a republic a long, long time now. We have royal commissions, yet there's no crown, no king, no queen. I noticed in the mushroom in saga, which has gone on, that court case out in the country, the lady called herself a senior counsel, the prosecution, which I thought that was quite honourable, because a lot of them are calling themselves king's counsellors. There used to be queen's counsellors, but there's no oath of allegiance to the crown, so therefore, and there's no king in Australia. The Labour Party and the Liberals, they've all condoned this, and they haven't told you that there's no crown. We're a republic. Have a look up at the Act of 1986. And I asked a politician at the last election for the federal election here, actually, could she explain the fact that Australia was a private corporation, and she says, no, it's not. We're a government, we're everything. They actually believe it. So there's not much point blaming them and having a go at them, because they're convinced they are what they say they are, but they're not. Look up the Act of 1986, where the High Court the High Court used to be able to appeal the High Court, and every court has to have an area of appeal. Now, with the High Court, they cut off the Privy Council, so Bob Hawke says, no, you can't do it anymore. Now, there were some cases in the High Court recently where some friends of mine went down, and they were absolutely astonished to find there was just somebody who could be seen on reasonable grounds just to be a caretaker. Now, this caretaker was looking after the place, and yet there were screens up there and court cases taking place. Now, the fact of the law is the presence of the body removes the flaw in the law. So if you're in a court case, you have to be there as the man or the woman, which of course doesn't apply to our courts, because you've got to be a person. All the law only applies to person. That's why the common law court deals with, when they prosecute somebody, they charge or lay charge against the man, woman in their private capacity as a living man or woman. So the whole thing's a con job. But Fines Victoria have totally disregarded the law. So what they do now, if you owe them some money, they'll send you a text message, and it looks like a scam, but it's not. Well, it is a scam in the overall sense. They will ask you to contact them within about 7 days, and if you fail to do that, they actually cancel your driving license and your registration without even telling you. They just do it. And a lot of people, I didn't believe it in the beginning. I thought, good God, it can't be that bad. But what they're doing now is they'll just do it. And some people got pulled over by the police, and of course the police look up, your registration is cancelled, your driving license is cancelled, and it depends on how you shape up. If you're aggressive and stuff, you'll find that the police will go ahead and take your car off in a tow truck, and there's not much you can do about it other than pay the big penalties to get it out. So if you make them an offer to pay them $5 a month, they'll accept that, because it's better than nothing. But you have to look at the fact is, if they accept $5 and you've paid it, in law, that debt is paid. But don't argue that yourself. You need experts to do it, but I don't know, there's very few lawyers now that's going to go against the system. But way back, Brian Shaw discovered that they removed the oath to the crown, and they're just a private corporation. Now I was in the Supreme Court one day having a chat to some of the staff there. I had a genuine inquiry about paperwork and stuff, and I asked the lady, I says, how come you've just elected a new CEO? That's last year sometime. And here we have all these guys outside walking around in their penguin suits, and the little ribbons at the back that says they're QCs or KCs now, or senior counsels, which they should be. She just couldn't answer the question. She just smiled and said nothing because they know they're breaking the law. Now, Fines Victoria, it's funny, they show up. Mackenzie is the head of that organisation. I looked up Dun and Bradstreet in the UK, again, an independent country inside the UK, not subject to the king, that they're registered there as a business. And sadly, everything is registered. All the councils are registered there as businesses, type of businesses. Some of them describe themselves like Casey Council as a cafe. Now, there is a cafe right in the middle of the beautiful building in Casey Council here in Melbourne. A lovely, lovely place. And it's registered in business. The type of business is a cafe. It's incredible. And what are we going to do about it? There's so much you can do, but apathy is beyond belief. There's a lot of really hardworking men and women out there trying to do things, but they're gone off on tangents that really have no legs whatsoever. Deregistering yourself, getting out of the system, handing back your driving license, putting false plates on your vehicle. The only thing they're going to do for you is end up in jail. You've got a greater chance of going to jail for a driving offence than you have for breaking and entering or night burglars. You won't get bail so easily. So wake up to the fact there's one way back. Remove yourself as a person. Get yourself an ID from the common law court. It's all on the website. That's a start. Rates are totally unlawful, illegal, corrupt, wrong, because the councils are private companies. So, as I always said, KFC and McDonald's could do the same thing, but we wouldn't pay them because we'd laugh at them. But the majority of people will just go along with it. In New Zealand, a lot of places in New Zealand altogether have said no more. That's it. We're not paying these rates. But in the meantime, do not stop paying your rates because they will sell your property out from under you. Or if you try to sell your house down the track, they will get it then. They will get it one way or the other. Now you can't sell a property without getting clearance from another private company. Not even legal because apparently it was never ratified, the tax department. They have you everywhere and we're allowing it to happen. There's nobody's doing anything about it. It's called people power, and the only way the people can get power is coming together under a united umbrella and using the law of the land, which is common law, through the office of sheriff. And the office of sheriff is independent, it's lawful, and it's not out. The sheriff's department is not out there in competition with the police. In fact, I'm an ex-cop and I support the police. I don't support some of the police actions, but things will get better as they go along. We've got a new commissioner from New Zealand, unfortunately appointed by Jacinta Allen, the Labour Party, which has already been indicted by the common law court, and her court case will come up. And if she gets convicted, well, the paperwork will have to go to The Hague. Unfortunately, The Hague, under the Foreign Judgment Act, The Hague accept our paperwork through email. We have to upload it. We can't send it by post anymore. But they're tied up in war crimes, so I don't look for much hope there. We have been donated vehicles, which we'll have on the road very soon. Now, another thing that we can help you with is the threat of eviction. Now, possession of your house, now this doesn't mean tenants. If you're a tenant, well, you don't pay the rent, you get evicted. That's fair enough in some cases. If you're buying your place and you have a mortgage, now, if you don't pay your rates, what happens? The council will get onto the bank and they'll let it run for 3 or 4 months, and the bank then will pay your back rates. And that leaves you in big poo-poo because you're 3 or 4 payments behind with your mortgage. And of course, if you can't do a deal and catch up, they will issue an eviction notice. So, but if you own your property outright, the council then come after you and they will put your property up for sale anyway. Now, how to protect yourself there? If you're getting threats of eviction under any circumstances. Remember that 9/10 of the law is possession is 9/10 of the law. So the other tenth is the receipt. It's like it's just like this box in my pocket. If police came up to me in the car park or outside the shopping centre, we have reason to believe that this is stolen property. How do I prove I own it? Take out a receipt. And the police say, oh, fair enough, it's not you, it must be somebody else. And they've got a receipt. Now, with the land titles office being another private company registered in Brad Street in London, inside that district corporation, which is not part of the UK, you've got nothing. So get yourself a title, a certificate of title from the common law court. It's all on the website. It's a donation of $100. And the reason we charge that is trying to make money to pay for the printing and stuff. It comes out in a nice folder, and it comes out in, you get copies, a copy you can frame and copies that you keep you can send to people to the bank and so on and so forth. It has stopped an eviction here in its tracks on day one. The bank said, well, we'll give you 6 months grace, and we pointed out to the bank that you never lent them anything, you've got no contract, and the only thing you had at the time was an agreement which is not enforceable in law, and you probably sold that to some offshore business in Ireland, so don't bother. And they never did, and that was it must be 2 years ago now, and that's just the first one we've ever done. So a certificate of title is very important. It's a receipt for your property. Even if you have a mortgage, it protects you. We'll contact the common law court. As soon as we get our vehicles on the road, we will get round there. We've got 20 odd deputies. We'll get round there and help you. And if you get your neighbours and stuff to come around, we can authorise them as a posse. And the posse then will help against any eviction, because the Fines Victoria have sheriffs. They're masquerading as sheriffs. They're not sheriffs. They're bailiffs. The court bailiffs, they have no authority whatsoever. Trespass, like anything else, they can be arrested. And I can assure you that the common law court officers will arrest them and place them into open custody. In other words, we've got no jails, we have no money, we have nothing, but we can take them to before a jury of 12. And if the jury of 12 says we'll take a lien on their property, if it's fines, we can do that. We can find out where they live and take a lien on their property. At the moment, the Hague is not interested at the moment in little things like that. The big ones, they said they would help us, but because of the war crimes, they're overwhelmed with cases bigger than ours. But anyway, I'm going to cut it short, guys. Get your certificate of ID. Contact us if you have any problems here, especially in Victoria. We get people from all around the state. We try and help them. It's not easy. We need more people up there to get involved. We have 3 sheriffs in Victoria now, all sworn in by a jury of their peers. And we've got a new one which is very, very active and will help. We're, again, not an alternative police service. We will not be doing any policing. We're only helping people who have been harmed, caused harm, loss, or injury by actions of others, right? So it's humanity, caution, and prudence is the basics of common law. Anybody cause you harm, loss, or injury, you can take a case privately against them, or you can ask grand jury to bring, if there's a big case, to get the grand jury to make a decision whether there's a case to answer or not. Anyway, in the meantime, support your local sheriff. Now, we are registered with the United States as independent sheriff offices, 2 of them here in Melbourne. There will be a 3rd one soon. And as I said, we do support the police, because without them, that thin blue line is so thin. Crime is out of control, and it's the Labour Party's problem here in Melbourne. They don't give a shit. That's been polite. The courts are just releasing the criminals on bail. You got a better chance of going to jail for a driving offence than you have for committing a criminal act. So anyway, support your local sheriff. Bye for now. Dr. Barry signing off.